Captain Jake Morrison stood at the viewport of his ship, watching the blue and green planet below. Kepler 442b looked peaceful from space, but the messages coming from the surface told a different story. Something was very wrong on the human colony down there. The communication screen flickered to life, showing the tired face of Lisa Chen. She was the administrator of the colony, and she looked like she had not slept in days. Her eyes were red from crying and her hand shook as she spoke. "Captain Morrison, thank God you are here," Lisa said, her voice breaking. "We need help. Something terrible is happening to our children." Jake leaned forward in his chair. He had commanded the exploration vessel New Horizon for 5 years, but he had never heard such fear in someone's voice. "Tell me what is going on, Lisa." Lisa took a deep breath and looked directly at the camera. "Our children are disappearing, Jake, not just 1 or 2. 17 of them are gone. Just gone." The words hit Jake like a punch to the stomach. He had children of his own back on Earth. The thought of them vanishing made his blood run cold. "When did this start?" 6 months ago, Lisa replied. "It started with little Bobby Turner. He was playing in the settlement park with his friends. His mother went inside for just 10 minutes to get them some juice. When she came back, Bobby was gone. His friend said he was there one moment and gone the next. They did not see anything happen." Jake wrote notes on his tablet as Lisa continued. "We searched everywhere. We used every scanner we had. We sent teams into the forests around the settlement. Nothing. No trace of Bobby anywhere." "What about security cameras?" Jake asked. Lisa shook her head. "We checked every camera in the settlement. Bobby was there at 2:15 in the afternoon. At 2:16 he was gone, like he just vanished into thin air." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Children did not just disappear like that. There had to be an explanation. "Tell me about the others." Lisa pulled up a list on her screen. After Bobby, it happened again 2 weeks later. Maria Santos was walking to the school module with her older brother. He stopped to tie his shoe, and when he looked up, Maria was gone. Then it was Tommy Kim, Jennifer White, Peter Adams, and more. Always the same pattern. The children are there one moment and gone the next. Jake studied the list Lisa had sent him. All the missing children were between 8 and 14 years old. "Are you sure there is no pattern to where they disappear?" "We thought there might be," Lisa said. "At first it seemed random. The park, the school path, even from inside their homes. But Dr. Kevin Walsh found something strange." Kevin Walsh was the colony's chief scientist. Jake had met him once before and remembered him as a careful, methodical man. If Kevin had found something, it was worth listening to. "What did Dr. Walsh discover?" Jake asked. Lisa switched the screen to show Dr. Walsh. He was a tall man with gray hair and wire-rimmed glasses. He looked exhausted but determined. "Captain Morrison, I have been studying the disappearance sites for months. At first I found nothing unusual. But then I started looking for things that should not be there." Kevin pulled up readings on his screen. "I found energy signatures at each disappearance site. Very faint, but definitely there. The energy patterns are unlike anything in our database. They are not from any human technology." Jake leaned back in his chair. The implications of what Kevin was saying were enormous. "Are you saying we are not alone on this planet?" "That is exactly what I am saying," Kevin replied. "The energy signatures suggest advanced technology, far more advanced than anything we have. Someone or something has been taking our children, and they have technology we cannot even understand." Jake felt his heart racing. First contact with alien life was something every explorer dreamed of. But not like this. Not with their children disappearing. "Do you have any idea where the children might be?" Kevin shook his head. "The energy signatures fade quickly. I can detect them for maybe an hour after a disappearance. Then they are gone. Whatever technology is being used, it is designed to avoid detection." Lisa came back on screen. "Captain, our people are terrified. Parents are keeping their children locked inside their homes. The kids cannot play outside anymore. They cannot go to school without armed guards. This is not the life we came here to build." Jake understood. The colonists had come to Kepler 442b to build a better future for their families. Instead, they were living in fear. "What do you need from me, Lisa?" "We need you to find our children," Lisa said, tears in her eyes. "We need to know what happened to them. And we need to make sure it never happens again." Jake nodded. He had made his decision before Lisa even finished speaking. "I am bringing my team down to the surface. We will find out what is happening to your children." "Thank you, Captain," Lisa said. "But please be careful." Whatever took our children, it is still out there. Jake turned to his crew after ending the communication. His first officer, Commander Amy Rodriguez, had been listening to the conversation. She was a good officer and a mother of two. Jake could see the anger in her eyes. "Amy, prepare a landing team," Jake said. "I want our best security people and all our scanning equipment." "Already on it, sir," Amy replied. "Lieutenant Ben Parker is assembling the security team now. Dr. Patricia Novak wants to come too. She thinks this might be our first real contact with alien intelligence." Jake nodded. Dr. Novak was their xenobiologist, an expert in alien life forms. If they were dealing with aliens, her expertise would be valuable. "What is your gut feeling about this, Amy?" Amy was quiet for a moment. 17 children do not just disappear, Captain. Someone took them. The question is whether they are still alive. Jake hoped they were. The alternative was too terrible to think about. "Get the team ready. We leave for the surface in 2 hours." As his crew prepared for the mission, Jake stared out at the planet below. Somewhere down there, 17 human children were missing. Their families were waiting for answers. Jake had no idea what they would find on the surface, but he knew one thing for certain. He would not leave Kepler 442b until every missing child was found. The blue and green planet looked peaceful from space, but Jake now knew that looks could be deceiving. Whatever was down there had technology beyond human understanding, and it had been taking their children. The thought made Jake angry, and that anger would drive him to find the truth no matter how dangerous it might be. Captain Jake Morrison stepped off the shuttle onto the surface of Kepler 442b. The air was crisp and clean, and the two suns cast long shadows across the landing pad. Behind him, Commander Amy Rodriguez and Lieutenant Ben Parker carried scanning equipment while Dr. Patricia Novak clutched her xenobiology kit. Lisa Chen met them at the landing pad, her face showing the strain of 6 months without answers. "Captain, thank you for coming so quickly. The parents are gathering in the community center. They want to meet you." Jake nodded but held up his hand. "First, I need to see the disappearance sites. Dr. Walsh said he found energy signatures. I want to examine them myself." Dr. Kevin Walsh joined them carrying a large scanner. The most recent disappearance was 3 days ago. Little Sophie Miller vanished from her backyard while her father was gardening. The energy signature might still be detectable. They walked through the colony settlement. Jake noticed how empty the streets were. No children played outside. No laughter came from the playgrounds. The place felt like a ghost town. There. Kevin pointed to a small house with a fenced backyard. Sophie was playing with her dolls by that tree. Her father was only 20 feet away. Ben Parker set up his security scanner while Dr. Novak activated her biological detector. Kevin ran his own equipment over the area where Sophie had last been seen. "I am getting something," Kevin said, excitement in his voice. "Very faint, but it is there. The energy pattern is unlike anything I have ever seen." Dr. Novak looked at her readings. "I am detecting trace elements that do not belong in this soil." "Jake, these elements are not from any known human technology," Amy Rodriguez called out from the fence line. "Captain, you need to see this." She was holding a small scanner and pointing it at the ground. "I am reading massive underground structures about 2 miles north of here. The energy signatures are coming from that direction." Jake felt his pulse quicken. Underground structures meant someone had built something under their colony. Someone who was not human. How big are these structures? Amy checked her scanner again. "Huge, sir." The readings suggest buildings the size of several city blocks. And they go deep. At least 1,000 feet underground. Kevin looked pale. "Captain, that means they have been here longer than we have. Those structures would take years to build. The implications hit everyone at the same time. Whatever had taken the children had been watching the human colony since before it was established. They had been planning this." "Sir?" Ben said quietly. "Should we call for backup?" Jake considered the option. More ships, more weapons, more people. But that might make the situation worse. If there really were aliens down there, showing up with a battle fleet might not be the best way to get the children back. "Not yet," Jake decided. "First, we try to make contact." Back at the colony administration building, Jake gathered his team around a large table. Lisa and Kevin joined them, along with Dr. Scott Williams, the colony's communication specialist. "Scott, can you set up a communication array pointed at those underground structures?" Jake asked. Scott nodded. "I can have it ready in 2 hours. What kind of message do you want to send?" Jake thought carefully. This might be humanity's first contact with alien intelligence. What they said next could determine the fate of not just the missing children, but all of human space exploration. We start simple, Jake said. Mathematical sequences, prime numbers, basic universal concepts that any intelligent species would understand. Dr. Novak spoke up. Captain, if they have been watching us for months, they might already understand our language. They might be waiting for us to make contact. Or they might see any contact as a threat, Ben warned. We do not know their intentions. For all we know, taking the children was an act of war. Jake looked around the table. The children are our priority. We try peaceful contact first. If that fails, we consider other options. 2 hours later, Scott had the communication array operational. The entire team gathered in the communications room as Scott began transmitting the mathematical sequences toward the underground structures. At first, nothing happened. The signals went out into space with no response. Then after 10 minutes, Scott's equipment lit up like a Christmas tree. Captain, Scott said, his voice shaking with excitement. We are getting a response. The signal is incredibly strong. They are using technology that makes our equipment look like toys. The response was not mathematical sequences. It was a complex data stream that Scott's computers could barely process. Then suddenly the alien transmission changed to something the humans could understand. Greetings to the primary species of this world. The words appeared on Scott's screen in perfect English. Everyone in the room stared in shock. They know our language, Amy whispered. The transmission continued. We are the Vorthok Collective. We are researchers and explorers. Like yourselves. We have been studying the local ecosystem and are pleased to make contact with the dominant intelligent species. Jake stepped forward to the microphone. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human exploration vessel New Horizon. We are pleased to meet you. We have some concerns about our missing people. The response came quickly. We understand your concern for your colony members. We invite a delegation to our research facility for cultural exchange. We have much to learn from each other. Dr. Novak grabbed Jake's arm. Captain, this is incredible. Peaceful first contact with an alien species. This could change everything for humanity. But Ben Parker was not convinced. Sir, they did not address the missing children directly. Why are they avoiding the subject? Jake noticed that too. The aliens called them colony members, not children. Maybe they did not understand human family structures yet. We would be honored to visit your facility, Jake transmitted. However, we are very concerned about 17 of our people who have disappeared from our colony. Can you help us find them? There was a long pause before the response came. Your missing colony members are safe. We will discuss their status during your visit to our facility. We assure you they are unharmed. Jake felt a wave of relief wash over him. The children were alive. That was the most important thing. But questions remained. Why had the aliens taken them? Where were they being held? And why had they not made contact before taking the children? We accept your invitation, Jake transmitted. When and where should we meet? Coordinates are being transmitted now. Bring no weapons, bring your scientific personnel. We are eager to share knowledge with your species. Scott printed out the coordinates. They pointed to a location 20 miles north of the colony, in what had appeared to be empty wilderness. Jake looked at his team. Dr. Novak was practically bouncing with excitement about meeting aliens. Ben Parker looked suspicious and kept his hand near his weapon. Amy Rodriguez was studying the coordinates with a worried expression. What do you think? Jake asked. I think we do not have much choice, Amy replied. If the children are really with them, this might be our only chance to get them back safely. Jake nodded. We go tomorrow morning. Small team, no weapons as requested. Amy, Ben, Dr. Novak, and Dr. Williams. As the team prepared for what might be humanity's first diplomatic mission to an alien species, Jake could not shake the feeling that something was not right. The aliens had been watching them for months without making contact. They had taken 17 children without explanation, and now they wanted to meet. Jake hoped he was wrong, but his instincts told him that tomorrow would bring answers they might not want to hear. The morning air was cold as Captain Jake Morrison and his team approached the coordinates the aliens had given them. What had looked like empty wilderness from their scans now showed signs of something much more complex. The ground ahead of them began to glow with a soft blue light. Dr. Patricia Novak carried her scanning equipment, while Dr. Scott Williams held his translation device. Commander Amy Rodriguez and Lieutenant Ben Parker walked behind them, their eyes constantly moving to watch for any signs of danger. "The energy readings are off the charts," Dr. Novak whispered. "Whatever technology they are using, it is thousands of years ahead of anything we have." A section of the ground began to move. What had appeared to be solid earth slid away to reveal a perfectly smooth opening. Bright light poured out from below, and Jake could see a ramp leading down into the alien facility. 3 figures emerged from the opening. Jake had seen many strange things in his years exploring space, but nothing had prepared him for his first sight of the Vorthak. They were tall, easily 8 feet in height with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. Each alien had 4 arms and large compound eyes that reflected light like diamonds. The lead alien stepped forward and spoke in perfect English. "Welcome, humans. I am High Researcher Zektar of the Vorthak Collective. We are honored by your visit." Jake stepped forward, trying to hide his amazement. "I am Captain Jake Morrison. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us." Zektar gestured with 2 of his arms toward the opening. "Please come see our research facility. We have spent many cycles building this center of learning. You will find it most impressive." As they walked down the ramp, Jake was amazed by what he saw. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that provided light without any visible source of power. The corridor was wide enough for 20 people to walk side by side, and it stretched far into the distance. "Your facility is incredible," Dr. Novak said, her scientific curiosity overcoming her nervousness. "How long have you been here?" "We established this research station 47 of your years ago," Zektar replied. "We have been studying this world and its many interesting life forms ever since." Ben Parker spoke quietly to Jake. "Sir, that means they were here before any human ever set foot on this planet." Jake nodded. The aliens had been watching and waiting long before humans arrived. That raised serious questions about their intentions. They entered a vast chamber filled with what could only be described as the most advanced laboratory Jake had ever seen. Machines hummed quietly while holographic displays showed complex data. Dozens of other Vorthak moved through the space, all focused on their work. "This is our primary research center," Zektar explained proudly. "Here we study the biological diversity of this world. We have cataloged over 50,000 species in our database." Dr. Novak was fascinated. "Your research methods must be incredibly advanced. How do you collect your specimens?" "We use non-invasive collection techniques," Zektar replied. "We can transport specimens from any location on the planet directly to our facility. It allows us to study them without disrupting their natural habitat." Jake felt a chill run through him. Transport specimens directly to their facility. That sounded exactly like what had happened to the missing children. "Zektar," Jake said carefully, "when we spoke yesterday you mentioned that our missing people are safe. Can you tell us more about that?" Zektar's compound eyes seemed to brighten. "Ah yes, your missing colony members. We have been studying them as part of our research into the dominant species of this world. They are excellent specimens." The word specimens hit Jake like a physical blow. Amy Rodriguez took a step forward, her hand moving instinctively toward where her weapon would normally be. "Specimens?" Amy asked, her voice tight with controlled anger. "You're talking about our children." "Children?" Zektar seemed confused by the word. "I am not familiar with this term. We refer to them as juvenile specimens of your species. They show fascinating developmental characteristics," Dr. Williams spoke up. "Zektar, in human society, children are our offspring. Our young. They are not specimens to be studied." "Most interesting," Zektar replied. "You form emotional attachments to your larval stage. This is unusual behavior that we would like to study further." Jake realized with growing horror that the aliens did not understand what they had done. To them, human children were just interesting animals to be collected and studied. "Where are they?" Jake demanded. "I want to see them now." "Of course," Zektar said, seeming pleased by Jake's interest. "Follow me to our juvenile specimen wing. You will find our research methods most enlightening." They walked through more corridors filled with advanced technology. Jake saw chambers containing creatures from across the galaxy, each one held in what the Vorthak clearly considered ideal conditions for study. "We have collected specimens from 47 different worlds," Zektar explained. "Each species teaches us something new about biological development and behavioral patterns." They stopped in front of a large door marked with alien symbols. Zektar placed one of his hands on a control panel, and the door slid open. The room beyond was filled with individual chambers, each one containing a different creature. Jake saw beings he could not identify, animals that looked almost familiar, and then his heart stopped. In the far corner of the room he saw them. 17 small chambers, each one containing a human child. Dr. Novak gasped and ran toward the chambers. "Oh my God, they are here. They are really here." Jake followed her, his mind struggling to process what he was seeing. The children were alive, but they were unconscious, floating in some kind of clear fluid. Tubes and wires connected them to monitoring equipment. "Bobby Turner," Amy whispered, recognizing the first child who had disappeared. "And there is Maria Santos." Jake turned to Zektar, fighting to control his rage. "What have you done to them?" "We have provided them with optimal conditions for study," Zektar replied, seeming confused by Jake's distress. "They are kept in a state of suspended consciousness to prevent psychological trauma. Our research has shown that juvenile specimens often experience distress when removed from their natural environment." "Suspended consciousness?" Dr. Novak checked the monitoring equipment. "You have drugged them. You have kept them unconscious for months. It is standard procedure," Zektar explained. "Conscious specimens often attempt to escape or harm themselves. This method ensures their safety while allowing us to conduct our research." Ben Parker stepped closer to Jake. "Captain, we need to get them out of here now." Jake stared at the 17 chambers containing the missing children. They looked so small and helpless, trapped in the alien facility like laboratory animals. The youngest, little Amy Collins, was only 8 years old. "Zektar," Jake said, his voice deadly calm. "These are not specimens. These are our children, our most precious and protected members of our species. You must release them immediately." "Release them?" Zektar seemed genuinely puzzled. "But our research is not complete. We have learned so much about juvenile human development. Releasing them now would compromise months of valuable data." "Valuable data?" Amy Rodriguez stepped forward, her face flushed with anger. "You kidnapped our children and drugged them for months, and you call it valuable data?" "I do not understand your emotional response," Zektar replied. "These specimens were found in an uncontrolled environment. We have provided them with superior care and monitoring. They are healthier now than when we collected them." Jake realized that trying to reason with Zektar was useless. The alien simply did not understand that what they had done was wrong. To the Vorthak, the children were nothing more than interesting animals to be studied. "We are taking them home," Jake said firmly. "All of them." Right now, Zektar's expression changed. "That is not possible. The specimens represent significant research investment. Our studies of juvenile human behavior are just beginning. We plan to expand our collection with additional specimens from your colony." The words hit Jake like ice water. "They plan to take more children. Additional specimens?" he asked. "Of course," Zektar replied enthusiastically. "We have identified several promising candidates. The research possibilities are endless." Jake looked at his team. Dr. Novak was still studying the children in their chambers, tears streaming down her face. Amy and Ben were both struggling to control their anger. Dr. Williams was recording everything with his translation device. They were standing in an alien facility, surrounded by beings with technology far beyond human capability. The children were trapped in chambers they could not open, and the aliens planned to take more. Jake realized they were in more danger than he had imagined. This was not just about 17 missing children anymore. This was about the survival of every human child on Kepler 442b. Captain Jake Morrison stared at High Researcher Zektar, trying to understand how any intelligent being could be so completely blind to the horror they had created. The alien stood calmly among the chambers containing 17 human children, speaking about them as if they were insects in a collection. "Zektar," Jake said slowly, "I need you to understand something very important. In human society, our children are not specimens. They are our future. They are the most precious thing we have." Zektar tilted his head, his compound eyes reflecting the chamber lights. "This emotional attachment to juvenile members is fascinating. Most species we have studied show minimal concern for their offspring once they reach basic viability." Dr. Patricia Novak looked up from the monitoring equipment connected to 8-year-old Amy Collins. "Jake, the readings show severe psychological trauma. These children have been conscious during some of the procedures. They drugged them, but not completely. They knew what was happening to them." Amy Rodriguez moved closer to the chamber holding Bobby Turner, the first child who had disappeared. This boy has been here for 6 months. 6 months stolen from his childhood. 6 months his parents have been searching for him. We have provided superior care, Zektar insisted. These specimens receive nutrition perfectly balanced for their developmental needs. Their physical health has improved significantly under our monitoring. Lieutenant Ben Parker stepped forward, his voice tight with barely controlled rage. Superior care? You kidnapped them from their families. You drugged them. You have been experimenting on them for months. Experimenting is such a crude term, Zektar replied. We conduct observational studies. We monitor their growth patterns, brain development, and adaptive responses. The data we have collected will advance scientific knowledge across the galaxy. Dr. Scott Williams had been recording the conversation with his translation device. Captain, I think we need to understand their perspective. Zektar, why did you not contact us before taking our people? Contact was unnecessary, Zektar explained. We observed your colony for many cycles before beginning specimen collection. You showed no advanced scientific methods for studying your own species. We determined that our research would provide superior data. Jake felt his anger building like a storm inside his chest. So you just decided to take our children without asking, without telling us, without caring what it would do to their families. Family structures are an interesting social development, Zektar mused. We have noted similar patterns in 12 other species. The emotional bonds seem to serve some evolutionary purpose, though the efficiency benefits are unclear. Amy Rodriguez pointed at the chamber holding Maria Santos. That little girl has parents who have cried themselves to sleep every night for 4 months. Her mother has not eaten a full meal since Maria disappeared. Her father has aged 10 years from the stress. Inefficient biological responses, Zektar observed. The loss of one juvenile specimen should not impair the functioning of mature specimens. Perhaps this represents a design flaw in human evolution. Dr. Novak looked up from her examination of the monitoring equipment. Jake, it is worse than we thought. They have been running cognitive tests on the children. Memory tests, problem-solving assessments, emotional response measurements. They have been studying their minds while keeping them barely conscious. The cognitive development studies have yielded remarkable data, Zektar said enthusiastically. Human juveniles show accelerated learning patterns when isolated from social interference. We plan to publish our findings in the Galactic Research Journal. Ben Parker took a step toward Zektar. Social interference? You mean when isolated from their parents? From love and comfort and everything that makes childhood worth living? Love is an imprecise term, Zektar replied. We observe chemical bonding patterns between mature and juvenile specimens, but these appear to be evolutionary remnants rather than beneficial adaptations. Jake looked around the room at all the chambers containing creatures from dozens of worlds. How many other species have you done this to? How many other children from other worlds are trapped in places like this? Our research spans 47 worlds and over 300 species, Zektar said proudly. We have the most comprehensive database of juvenile development patterns in the known galaxy. Your species will be an excellent addition to our collection. Collection? Amy repeated. You are talking about children, not objects to be collected. Dr. Williams stepped closer to Jake. Captain, I think they genuinely do not understand what they have done wrong. To them, we are just another species to be studied. Jake realized that Dr. Williams was right. The Vorthak were not evil in the way humans understood evil. They were something potentially worse. They were completely indifferent to the suffering they caused. Zektar, Jake said, what you have done to our children is the worst crime our species can imagine. Taking children from their families, drugging them, experimenting on them. In human society, this would be punished by life imprisonment or death. Crime is a concept we do not recognize, Zektar replied. We conduct research for the advancement of knowledge. The specimens benefit from our superior care and monitoring. Dr. Novak stood up from the monitoring station, her face pale with shock. Jake, the psychological evaluations show that several of these children no longer respond to human language. The isolation and drugs have damaged their ability to connect with other people. Fascinating adaptation, Zektar observed. The specimens appear to be developing resistance to social bonding. This suggests remarkable neuroplasticity in the human brain. Amy Rodriguez grabbed Jake's arm. Captain, we need to get them out of here now. Every moment we delay, these children suffer more damage. I understand your concern, Zektar said. But removing the specimens now would compromise our research. We are planning to expand our study by collecting additional juvenile specimens from your colony. Perhaps you could assist us in selecting the most suitable candidates. The words hit Jake like a physical blow. They wanted his help in kidnapping more children. Additional specimens? Jake asked, his voice dangerously quiet. Of course, Zektar replied enthusiastically. We have identified 23 promising candidates in your colony. Children between the ages of 6 and 15 show the most interesting developmental patterns. Ben Parker stepped between Jake and Zektar. Sir, they are planning to take more kids. We cannot let that happen. Jake looked at the 17 chambers containing the missing children. Some of them were so small, so young. Amy Collins was only 8 years old when she was taken. Now she floated unconscious in an alien chamber. Her childhood stolen for the sake of scientific research. Zektar, Jake said, his voice filled with a cold fury that surprised even him. You are going to release these children immediately. All of them, and you are never going to take another human child again. That is not possible, Zektar replied calmly. The research value of these specimens is too great. We have invested significant resources in their collection and study. Then you have made the biggest mistake in the history of your species, Jake said. Zektar seemed puzzled by Jake's response. I do not understand your meaning. Jake looked around the room one more time. At the 17 chambers holding human children. At the hundreds of other chambers holding the young of dozens of other species. At the alien researchers who saw all of this suffering as nothing more than valuable data. You caged human children, Jake said, his voice carrying a promise of terrible consequences. My God, what have you done? Captain Jake Morrison stood in the alien laboratory, staring at high researcher Zektar with eyes that promised destruction. The alien researcher seemed confused by the sudden change in the human's demeanor, not understanding that they had just crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. Dr. Novak, Jake said quietly, never taking his eyes off Zektar. Can these chambers be opened safely? Dr. Patricia Novak studied the alien technology. I think so, but the children are heavily sedated. Moving them too quickly could be dangerous. Then we document everything, Jake replied. Amy, start recording. I want evidence of every single chamber, every piece of equipment, every child. Commander Amy Rodriguez activated her recording device and began moving through the room. Lieutenant Ben Parker positioned himself between the humans and Zektar, his hand resting on his sidearm despite the agreement to come unarmed. I must protest this unauthorized documentation, Zektar said. Our research data is proprietary to the Vorthak Collective. Jake turned to face the alien fully. Your research data involves human children. That makes it our concern now. Dr. Scott Williams continued translating as other Vorthak researchers gathered at the chamber entrance. They seemed curious about the human reaction, but not alarmed. To them, this was just an interesting behavioral study in progress. Zektar, Jake said, I need you to understand something very clearly. We are leaving this facility. We are taking our children with us. And if you try to stop us, you will learn why no species in the galaxy should ever threaten human children. Your emotional response is noted, Zektar replied. However, the specimens cannot be removed without proper authorization from the Research Council. Such authorization would require extensive documentation and justification. Amy looked up from her recording. Captain, I count 37 other chambers in this room. Different species, but they all look young. They are all children. The full scope of what the Vorthak had been doing hit Jake like a physical blow. This was not just about human children. This was about the children of dozens of species across the galaxy. How long have you been doing this? Jake demanded. Our juvenile development research program has been operational for 147 years, Zektar replied proudly. We have the most comprehensive database of cross-species childhood development in known space. Dr. Novak moved to another chamber containing a creature Jake did not recognize. This one is alive too. They are all alive. Jake, they have been collecting children from across the galaxy for over a century. Ben Parker spoke quietly to Jake. Sir, we need to call for backup. This is bigger than we thought. Jake nodded. Dr. Williams, open a communication channel to the New Horizon. Maximum encryption. Within minutes, Jake was speaking directly to his communications officer aboard the ship. Lieutenant Davis, I need you to send an emergency transmission to Earth Command. Priority Alpha. Tell them we have found the missing children, but we have also discovered something much worse. What should I tell them, Captain? Davis asked. Jake looked around the chamber filled with children from across the galaxy. Tell them we have found evidence of systematic kidnapping and experimentation on children by an alien species. Tell them we need every available ship sent to this system immediately. Understood, sir. Should I include details about the alien facility? Include everything, Jake replied. And Davis, make sure Admiral Grant gets this message personally. Tell her that Captain Morrison said they caged human children, and she will understand what needs to be done. Zektar had been listening to the conversation with growing concern. Captain Morrison, you seem to be escalating this situation unnecessarily. Perhaps we can reach a compromise regarding the specimens. Compromise? Amy Rodriguez stepped forward. You want to compromise about kidnapped children? We could allow limited visitation rights, Zektar suggested. The mature specimens could observe the juveniles periodically without disrupting our research protocols. Ben Parker laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. Visitation rights? You think parents want visiting hours to see their children in your laboratory? Dr. Novak had been working on one of the chambers containing a human child. Jake, I think I can wake them up safely. The sedation system is sophisticated, but I can reverse it gradually. Do it, Jake ordered. Start with the oldest children first. As Dr. Novak began the process of waking the children, Jake turned back to Zektar. You said your research spans 47 worlds. How many other facilities like this exist? We operate research stations on 12 worlds currently, Zektar replied. Each facility focuses on different aspects of juvenile development across various species. Jake felt sick. 12 facilities, hundreds, maybe thousands of children from dozens of species, all trapped in alien laboratories, and you see nothing wrong with any of this. Scientific advancement requires sacrifice, Zektar stated. The knowledge gained from our research benefits all species in the galaxy. Benefits? Dr. Williams asked. How does torturing children benefit anyone? We do not torture, Zektar protested. We provide optimal care and conduct minimally invasive studies. The specimens experience far less trauma than they would in their natural environments. Amy Rodriguez was recording everything when the first child began to wake up. It was Peter Adams, a 12-year-old boy who had been missing for 3 months. His eyes opened slowly and he looked around in confusion. Where am I? Peter whispered. I want to go home. Dr. Novak knelt beside the chamber. Peter, my name is Dr. Novak. You are safe now. We are here to take you home. Peter tried to sit up but was too weak. There were tests. They kept asking me questions. I could not move. I could not call for help. Jake knelt beside the boy. Peter, this is Captain Morrison. Your parents sent me to find you. You are going home today. Tears ran down Peter's face. My mom and dad must be so worried. They are, Jake said gently, but they never stopped looking for you. More children began to wake up as Dr. Novak moved from chamber to chamber. Bobby Turner, the first child to disappear, woke up crying for his mother. Maria Santos asked if her brother was okay. Each awakening child was a reminder of the lives that had been stolen by the Vorthak research program. Zektar watched the process with scientific interest. Fascinating. The specimens show immediate bonding behavior upon awakening. This suggests that the emotional attachment programming remains intact despite extended isolation. Ben Parker stepped toward Zektar. If you say one more word about these kids being specimens, I am going to forget that I am supposed to be a diplomat. Your aggressive response is noted, Zektar replied. We have observed similar protective behaviors in several other species. Jake's communication device beeped. It was a message from the New Horizon. Captain Admiral Grant has responded to your emergency transmission. She is dispatching the entire 5th Fleet to your location. Estimated arrival in 72 hours. Jake smiled for the first time since entering the facility. Admiral Susan Grant commanded the largest military force in human space. She was also a mother of 3 children. Zektar, Jake said, you have 72 hours to consider your options. You can release every child in every one of your facilities voluntarily, or you can explain to Admiral Grant why you have been torturing human children for scientific research. Admiral Grant? Zektar asked. Admiral Susan Grant commands 200 ships and 50,000 personnel, Jake explained. She also has 3 children of her own. When she learns what you have done to our kids, your research program will become a memory. For the first time, Zektar seemed concerned. Perhaps we can discuss terms for a peaceful resolution. Jake looked around the chamber at the 17 human children who were slowly waking up from their months-long nightmare. He thought about the other chambers containing children from dozens of other species. He thought about 11 other facilities scattered across the galaxy, filled with more stolen children. The terms are simple, Jake said. Release every child from every facility, shut down your research program, and pray that the species you have been experimenting on are more merciful than you have been to their children. As the human children continued to wake up, calling for their parents and asking to go home, Jake realized that the galaxy was about to change forever. The Vorthak Collective had made the mistake of hurting human children. Soon they would learn what humans were capable of when their children were threatened. The war that was coming would not be about territory or resources. It would be about justice for every stolen child across the galaxy.